Every day, these runners in their 70s and even in their 80s, they run along the famous Lungomare in Bari. Even in cold weather like today, they are out here. They speak proudly about their routines, their social lives, and their deep love for the city. They are the face of active aging, the ultimate success story for public health branding or for fitness brand. Do you know what I mean? You get my drift. And they deserve it. They put so much hard work into this fitness routine that they have. I stop by and have a quick conversation with some of them. Let's listen.
Il segreto per arrivare ancora a 70 anni è quello di non mollare mai devi mollare. Fai sempre sport perché a noi lo sport ci ha salvato la vita, perciò non molliamo mai.
Questa è Bari, no?
Sì, Forza Bari.
Ecco, ok.
Sempre Forza Bari.
Bari
Vabbè.
è una bella città.
Sì,
Basta vedere il lungomare e hai subito l'immagine di come si vive.
sì.
Molte altre città sono bellissime anche.
Ma quanti anni avete?
Noi 70-75.
Mamma mia.
Ma questo è un torero. È un Duracell.
Olè.
È un Duracell. Me ci ha fatto piacere di vederti, eh?
Sì.
Ci vedremo presto in palestra. Mi raccomando, non ti ingombiare troppo.
Ok, ciao.
Alright, they are not just the only one talking about the importance of exercise, what you need to do to get fit and all of that. This is the world we live in. This is important. How we need to be better for ourselves. It's a beautiful narrative, right? Also, many brands have taken advantage of this, or they have jumped on these narratives of how we can feed the muscles, how we can be better, how we can live longer. As a matter of fact, if you go on YouTube, you will see so many wellness videos and activities. And we humans are striving to live longer, to be better. And public health is struggling with messaging. Organizations in healthcare sector, they also are struggling with how do we tell people about their body when many influencers have hijacked this conversation already. In all of this, there is a conversation we're not having. As a researcher, I always have to ask, what happens to the bodies that we don't see on the Lungomare? What happens? Because for every runner out here, there is a story behind a closed door of a daughter, of a son, of a spouse whose routine isn't taking protein shake, whose routine is not morning jog, whose routine doesn't fit what healthcare system want us to see. They do not fit the 24-hour, fitness, all of that. What they do is caregiving. They wake up in the morning, they have to take their brothers or their loved one or their sister or their wife or their husband, and they have to push them around, they have to help them get by. What is a story like? And how do we create a more holistic message in healthcare sector or in brands or in organizations that make people feel seen or that make people feel included in our conversations? So, I'm taking you behind the scene of this global conversation going on at Human in Conversation. We started in Bari, actually. We didn't talk about marathons. We talked about stamina, the stamina that's required to watch your loved one fade in front of you. The stamina required to navigate a health system that sees the runner but ignores the caregiver. So, listen to some of the things I heard from Bari.
Mia aula per almeno 8 ore. Abbiamo visto
vari film sulla mancanza del compagno o compagna, della moglie, cosa succede con la reversibilità, cosa succede, che tipo di viaggio si può fare. Allora, poi anche recentemente sto pensando a me stesso di nuovo, cosa succederà, cosa farò, non quello che succederà, cosa farò se viene a mancare Giovanni. Poi mi viene anche a pensare cosa farò se lui peggiorerà, se diventa non più autonomo, mi devo preparare anche per questo, anche per mettere la possibilità di qualche appoggio durante questa possibilità, che probabilmente sì, sto vedendo troppi film, troppe cose sull'Alzheimer.
Non ha pensato al contrario?
No, sono troppo egoista per pensare al contrario. Non perché se finisce, cioè niente dura per tutta la vita, per sempre. Se vengo io a mancare, lui sarà e viceversa. Spero che lui ha questa possibilità di essere più indipendente, di sapere come andare avanti. Questo anche per me è un grande pensiero e mi occupo anche di queste cose. Mi occupo a pensare cosa farò e se nell'eventuale situazione che è eventuale.
Aside these hard conversations, these difficult to have conversations about our body, about our wellness, people around this table also share memories about food, because food is one of the things that bring us together as human. And here in Bari, this is the food they shared around this table during the conversations.
Insomma, me la cavo.
Ed è vero che hai lasciato questo tavolo, un miracolo dell'alimentazione barese.
Certo.
Si chiama?
Si chiama, chi la dice al contrario, si chiama patate, riso e cozze.
È la storia.
E la storia è che diciamo, i contadini, le cozze non era un privilegio acquistarle e mettevano la zucchina, mettevano la verdura. Questa è la storia. E noi invece baresi ci siamo un po' aggiornati, abbiamo messo le cozze. Questa è la storia.
Questa è la nascita della popolazione principesca. Tutto il resto invece sono poveri contadini.
Ad esempio io ho lavorato con le suore e le cozze non li volevano prendere perché quando capitava un esercizio spirituale erano 50 persone, erano una zucchina. E comunque
So, I'm going to look at this from 4 major pillars. I'm going to look at this from state, science, storytellers, and society. These 4 pillars allow us to understand how messaging goes through our entire ecosystem of branding, healthcare, name it. From the state perspective, what is the state doing to keep us well, to listen, to make us feel seen? Science, how is science really giving us important information that we need in our day not? Storytellers, I'm talking about those of us in brand, in communication, in marketing, or even the companies, or even journalists. How are we reporting a society that is not flattening experiences of others? And how do we also make sure that we keep the stories of those who are alive and running and jogging also in the news without ignoring those who are not? In our society, what can we do better? Where do we get our stories from? So I'm going to be using these 4 pillars every time. I call them the S4. The S4 provides, kind of lenses through which we can see how our messaging resonate, or how they are created, or how they are constructed, or from whose point of view are we seeing, for instance, in this case in Bari, from whose point of view are we seeing aging? Are we seeing aging from the point of view of storytellers who are selling something? Or are we seeing aging from the point of view of science who believe that humans are living better? Are we seeing aging from the point of view of the state in their policy? How is the policy helping us? And in all of this, how are we fostering compassion? How are we fostering empathy to make people feel seen or heard? And this is the core of my channel today. Welcome. Let's get started. It's a beautiful thing to witness the rise of biohacking, longevity science, and all these beautiful things going on around the world. It's also a beautiful thing to see that we are more curious as humans about our bodies, and we talk about it more often now. But there is also something going on, which is the distrust of institutions. People no longer trust. There is a rise in distrust in science, and there is a rise in distrust in institutions like government. As we begin to design messages that make people feel seen, or that kind of promote empathy or compassion, if you like. How do we design for people whose voices are not often around the table, or who is not often sitting around, who don't always look sexy for the kind of things that we want to put on billboard? So, as I went to Bari and I listened to these stories, participating, thank you to Johnny, just listening to these stories, I began to realize that many times we think that messaging is going to be everything when we're designing like a campaign, especially for health system or even for wellness brand. Sometimes we're talking about policy issue, like the guy who's talking about how would he, what happened to the benefits, to the insurance claims for his partner when things get bad. That's not something that you as a storyteller can design around. It is a policy issue. It is a state issue, and it's important for us to bring this up. That's why I'm advocating that storytellers needs to be part of the C-suite. Storytellers can no longer be down in the chain. They need to be part of decision makers, so that when we are designing policy, whether in the EU, whether in the United States, or wherever it is at WHO, we need to begin to factor in some things that are policy-based, how state treat insurance, how we treat claims for survivors. Another important thing I heard around the table is what I put in the bucket of science. As I listened, I heard things that began to open my eyes to the reason why people don't trust science. Because there are questions, for instance, that caregivers have that are not often answered. For instance, you're with your loved ones and you are thinking, you're afraid of what happens to me if I have Alzheimer's. Science is not going to just give you an answer that way. Some of these answers are buried in deep research. They're buried in some important, papers, documents that you can only find if you're part of that cohort or that bubble. And that's why we need to begin to disseminate science society. I really am excited about so many people doing this work, people who are actually bringing science to society. This is an important work in our generation, especially now that we have AI, we have the machines. It's important for science to step outside of this bubble to meet people where they are. And now I talk about the ones where I belong, storytellers. We storytellers have always told stories that can create some form of drama, stories that we think are sexier. And so, as at the beginning of the video, you saw the runners, the joggers, these are nice stories of 75 years old, 80 years old who are living really good. These are great stories. what happens to those that we do not see? What happens to those that they live ordinary, if you like, boring life, like caring for others, like being there, like pushing the wheels? What kind of stories? How do we incorporate these stories into our strategy, into our communication? I mean, a lot has happened in the age of DEI when we talk about designing for inclusion. I don't think that's enough. I think we need to do better. It's not just about design, it's about the intention. It's about actually knowing that these people exist, that there are caregivers who are not factored into the science of that disease. How do we bring them in? How do we make them feel that we see them when we design our campaign? Whether you are a pharmaceutical brand or you're a wellness brand or you're a lifestyle brand or you're even government, how do you make these people feel seen? It's very important. And of course, last, society. We need to do better. We need to begin to create, I know it's kind of cliche, but we need to create space. We need to make space for people who don't show up in the places we show up. Like, I go to the gym, I love fitness. I love to see all of these older women and men running. It just gives me joy. But I'm also aware there are others who do not have this privilege, who do not have this opportunity, not because they don't want to, but because of things that they have to face, because of the situation where they're in. This is what I'm talking about, that we need to have this conversation. How might we make other people feel included in a society, in the kind of society that we are building for the next generation? Till next time, I wish you all the best. My name is Kehinde Bademosi.